Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. It's time to shift things into not just another gear, but a full gear. It's time for AEW Full Gear that went down on Saturday, and we have quite a bit to discuss. But in the meantime, for starters, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer or analyst or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely really had a good time with this show. A lot of really great stuff, some stuff that will translate and segment nicely into World's End next month. Some setup there, and I'm excited to see where things go from here when it comes to AEW. As for this show, really good show, I must say. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And of course, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I like and dislike about each match. I'm going to go match by match, with the exception of a couple matches, that being the pre-show matches. We will talk about who won them, but we will go through the pre-show matches. Is really quick, really quick. My goodness, that'll be the first flub of many I make throughout this recording. I guarantee you that. But on the pre-show, Anna Jay defeated Deonna Purrazzo. Buddy Matthews won the four-way against Dante Martin, Commander, and the Beast Mortos. And Big Boom AJ defeated QT Marshall. And the Rizzler showed up. Apparently, pretty fun match from the Costco guys. And also extra props to AJ for working through the whole thing with a broken foot. Apparently he broke his foot during the match, but continued and soldiered on anyway. Even more extra props to him on that. But without further ado, let's get into the card proper. Starting with the four-way for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, as Private Party defended against the Outrunners, the Kings of the Black Throne, and the Acclaim. So the Outrunners, that being Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, the Kings of the Black Throne, that being Malachi Black and Brody King, and the Acclaims, Anthony Bones and Max Caster, who of course are still kind of continuing their friction. And Max Caster, even in his rap, which was on the pre-show, and didn't carry over to the live pay-per-view feed. I guess that's a new thing that AEW is doing, where they kind of skip the entrances. Has put the entrances, at least for like the first match, on the pre-show, and then on the show proper, or the guys are just in the ring. I know that they did the same thing at All In. No, sir, I don't like it, but nevertheless, as this match was pretty fun for the most part. Nice little opener to start off with. And we see the continued friction between Anthony Bones and Max Caster. The Outrunners get to do their thing, as well as the Kings of the Black Throne / the House of Black, and Private Party as well. And Private Party end up picking up the win and over the other teams. So congrats to Private Party on the win. And it does have its standard format for tagging in teams and stuff like that, where it's only two people in the ring at a time. I've complained about it before, so I'm not gonna bother doing it again. But still, I would say a decent opener, a solid enough match to open the show. But next up, MJF takes on Roderick Strong. Of course, MJF has been feuding once again now with the Undisputed Kingdom, stemming to Adam Cole's return at All Out, to confront MJF and everything, and kind of repel him. I mentioned it. I kind of went into a bit of detail about my feelings towards the whole storyline between them and kind of the revisionist history they're playing in the predictions video. So, for the sake of not just repeating and regurgitating what I already said during the predictions, not a big fan of how. And I know why it's the case, because a lot of things had to get changed for the whole storyline, like who stole the devil mask, and then the Undisputed Kingdom, MJF, that rivalry. I know that had to get changed a lot, but it's still pretty jarring, and not the biggest fan of it. But Uh, Nevertheless, this match still a really good match. MJF makes a second reference to Roderick Strong's mom shooting his dad, which yeesh, but but nevertheless, still a solid enough match between the two. MJF ultimately picking up the win and then absolutely obliterating Roderick Strong's arm. And another interesting tidbit: after Roderick Strong's arm is taken out by MJF in the chair, then Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly coming in, and Kyle O'Reilly shoving down Adam Cole, saying, "This is your fault." Which, yeah, he kind of has a point. And I'm glad Kyle's trying to hang on to the continuity, so I wonder if that aspect's going to get played up more, or they're kind of, it feels like there's something, it feels like it's something they're kind of brushing over a little bit. Which is kind of where a lot of my issues are stemming from. I told you I'm gonna flub up quite a bit. As a recording, but I feel like that's kind of where a lot of my issues are stemming from, is them trying to revise everything. Like I said, I kind of know why, but not a big fan of it. But Kyle O'Reilly bringing it up, which is nice to see. So, how will Adam Cole respond to that? Will Adam Cole respond to that? We'll have to wait and see. He and MJF, of course, did target the arm throughout the match, including Roger Strong absolutely nailing the turnbuckle on the outside with the chop, and then defeating him with the Salt of the Earth, the Fujiwara armbar, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's been a little bit since MJF actually got the win with the Salt of the Earth submission, but I guess we'll have to continue to wait and see how things further unfold from here. But next up, for the AEW TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné, the CEO, defended against Chris Statlander. So, speaking of revisionist history, but nevertheless, still a pretty solid match between the two, which did catch a lot of people off guard. Like the thing is, Mercedes Moné definitely able to put on a solid match. I think it's mainly the character that a lot of people kind of take issue with. But when she puts on a great hate match, Mercedes Moné is definitely capable of putting on a great match. And I think she did really well against Chris Statlander here, ultimately getting the win. And over here, her in kind of roll-up fashion, and Mercedes Moné is able to pick up the win over Statlander here. Camille, the Brickhouse, was not present at ringside. Apparently, she was told, and this is what it was told on commentary / in kayfabe, that Mercedes Moné, because she failed to injure Chris Statlander, which Mercedes Moné had kind of targeted Statlander's knee and everything in the match. Because of that, she was told to wait in the back, and Mercedes Moné won it pretty much single-handedly. So, I imagine we'll probably get the continued friction between Mercedes and Camille. But in the meantime, yeah, pretty solid match, I must say. But next up, in singles action, in kind of a grudge match, as Switchblade Jay White, once again takes on Hangman Adam Page. These two battled at Wrestle Dream, and had battled several times before then, and with Hangman Page only getting one victory over Jay White, and that one being a tainted victory because Christian Cage got involved. So how, if at all, will that play into the match? Well, it doesn't really, but still a really solid match. Now, between this one and Wrestle Dream, I might have to go with Wrestle Dream, as opposed in terms of which one's the superior pay-per-view match that it is from this year between these two. But this one's still really good, and Jay White having his leg targeted throughout. Same with Hangman Page, and I do like them kind of targeting and exploiting each other's previous injuries. Jay White once again catching Hangman Page with the Blade Runner. So now Jay White is 5-1 against Hangman Page. So again. And a really solid match. Actually, not as good in my opinion as their encounter at Wrestle Dream, but still a really really good match between these two. But next up, up. But next up, in another grudge match, former friends are turned bitter enemies as Kyle Fletcher battles his former friend and slash mentor Will Ospreay. So back at Wrestle Dream, Kyle turned on Will Ospreay, stabbed him with the screwdriver, hit him with the Tiger Driver, and put him on the shelf for a little bit. Kyle Fletcher shaving his head, saying he wants to be nothing like Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay showing back up, challenging Kyle Fletcher to this match. Will Ospreay showing up with kind of Punisher-inspired gear and kind of a darker entrance. I do like the mannerisms as Will Ospreay is making his entrance, not doing the flashy with like the hood and everything, not doing like the poses. It's the pyro kind of goes off behind him as he's just walking to the ring. Really shows how. Really showing a different side, a more angry, hurt side of Will Ospreay. As he takes on someone who he was very close with at one point, at least in kayfabe. I'm sure they're still very close in real life, but someone he used to be close with, and I think they're really putting that over big. But this match, a lot of people say this was the match of the night, and you know what? I might have to agree. I think these two absolutely brought it. A wicked pile driver on the stairs, courtesy of Kyle Fletcher to Will Ospreay, and ultimately Kyle Fletcher getting the win over Ospreay. Kyle Fletcher looked good. Will Ospreay still able to do everything here, and his mannerisms really helped put things over. And Kyle Fletcher gets a very, very big win. Do I think they'll rematch later on down the line? If this year, or if not this year, then maybe next. I'm sure that's a possibility, but as for this match, still a really, really great match between these two. A very simple yet effective story being told, and it may be. In terms of match of the night, it might be hard to top this one. So let's see how the rest of the card does. As next up for the AEW TNT Championship, the Scapegoat, Jack Perry, he defends against Daniel Garcia. So, Daniel Garcia had been gunning for Jack Perry, gunning for the TNT Championship, really wanting to even further break out on his own and win some championship gold, holding AEW. Who Jack Perry saying, you're not ready. So Dan Garcia's response was to kidnap Jack Perry. My goodness, but nevertheless, they had this match here. So I imagine, and maybe I'm way late to the party here, but it looks like Matt Menard's doing more commentary. They have him more like commentary or like behind the scenes role, not really necessarily in the ring as much, which is interesting to see. But I think he does a pretty great job, kind of rooting for Danny for the most part, heard as Danny and Jack Perry. He battled here, and pretty solid match, kind of showing some great aspects between the two. Jack Perry kind of sacrificing himself in a way is how they put it over on commentary, similar to what he did against Bryan Danielson at All Out. But ultimately, Dan Garcia hitting the pile driver and then locking in the sharpshooter, and Jack Perry tapping out. So Daniel Garcia is the new TNT champion, and it's really awesome to see. And I'm not just saying that because he's a Buffalo kid, but Daniel Garcia is someone who a lot of people have wanted. A lot of people have wanted to really go up to that kind of upper echelon, and I think this definitely he will do it for him. So, how will Dan Garcia do it? How will Dan Garcia do as TNT champion, especially now that he's cleaned off the championship? Not a bad custom championship, I must say, for Jack Perry. It definitely took some getting used to, but how will Dan Garcia do as TNT champion? And we will find out. But yeah, so pretty decent match against Jack Perry, and congrats to Daniel Garcia. But next up for the AEW International Championship, the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita takes on the one and only Ricochet. I forget if he's still referred to as the one and only Ricochet here, but of course Ricochet challenging Takeshita to the international title, stemming from Takeshita winning at Wrestle Dream. Ricochet's been gunning for Takeshita and gunning for the title quite a bit. So now we have this match here, and this is a pretty solid match as well. I know some people, this one got some kind of mixed reception. A lot of people liked it, a lot of people didn't. But me, I definitely really enjoyed this match. Definitely showing definitely showing the best. My goodness, definitely showing the best of both, man. And Ricochet got to do a lot of his high flying and kind of like risk taking moves and everything, and Takeshita being able to show his like power, striking ability, his agility as well. Konosuke Takeshita is very agile for a guy his size, which is pretty impressive. And ultimately, Konosuke Takeshita nailing the Brainbuster, or Sami Zayn versus Gunther at WrestleMania 40, to be able to pick up the win and retain over Ricochet here. So, congrats to Konosuke Takeshita. How will things continue to unfold for him as international champion? We'll find out. But yeah, really solid match, I must say. Next up, Bobby Lashley of the Hurt Syndicate, he makes his pay-per-view debut as he takes on Swerve Strickland. And so Swerve was offered a spot in the Hurt Syndicate. It officially offered like face-to-face at Wrestle Dream. And Swerve ultimately rebuffed the advances of the Hurt Syndicate, and more specifically MVP. So now Swerve Strickland's pretty much an enemy of the Hurt Syndicate. Bobby Lashley is now in, and now he's making his debut, at least pay-per-view debut against Swerve Strickland. And this one not bad. Kind of David and Goliath in a way between Bobby and Swerve, but I think they still did really well. Again, show a lot of the power and everything of Bobby. I think Swerve is a reliable hand for Bobby to have like his first pay-per-view match, that is, and Bobby ultimately making Swerve technically pass out in a way, a courtesy of the Hurt Lock. So a big win, and getting a big win in your second match over a former AEW World Champion, I think is really big. It really helps establish not just Bobby Lashley, but the Hurt Syndicate as a whole. Also, him getting the win, I think, was smart here. And how things continue to unfold for the Hurt Syndicate, we will find out. And last, but certainly not least, in your main event, hence for the AEW World Championship briefcase, which I forgot they stuffed the World Championship in a bag, and now they're carrying it to a briefcase. In a briefcase, Maria Shafir has the briefcase with her. She has like handcuffs. She takes off the handcuffs so the referee can raise the briefcase. And poor Bryce Rinsberg, her kind of like, am I supposed to raise this? What the hell? But nevertheless, Jon Moxley defends against and freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Of course, Jon Moxley, the leader of the Death Riders, who have been running roughshod Orange Cassidy, really is time to step up against Mox here. Jon Moxley officially has an evil goatee. It's not quite long enough to be a super evil goatee, but it's forming. It's there. So and Orange Cassidy, of course, coming out with the all dark clothing, which he had been coming out to for a while. And almost immediately, Orange Cassidy nailing some orange punches on Jon Moxley pretty much from the get-go. How the match starts off. The match starts off fast and furious, essentially. Orange Cassidy gets busted open relatively early. And Jon Moxley even gets covered in his blood, which is gross. So I guess now heel Moxley is too good to bleed. So Orange Cassidy will have to do, I suppose. And another kind of David Goliath battle, although Orange Cassidy, for the most part, are kind of able to hold his own against Mox, showing his resilience and ultimately his defiance here in this match, but ultimately not quite enough defeat Jon Moxley, but it's still a really solid showing from Orange Cassidy. And they had brought up how a year ago at Full Gear, Orange Cassidy defeated Jon Moxley, which I guess kind of gives away that Moxley was winning this one, but also B, I somehow totally forgot these two fought at Full Gear last year. I went back to look it up, and sure enough, they fought for the International Championship. If I forgot they fought again for the International Championship, after their match at Wrestle Dream, or not Wrestle Dream, All Out. I forgot they fought again for the International Championship. This time, this was after Orange Cassidy had won it from Ray Phoenix. But I totally forgot they faced off the year before at Full Gear. But in the rematch, Jon Moxley ultimately walks away victorious. I think Orange Cassidy looks relatively strong in defeat. Excuse me. He even having the rest of the conglomeration, that being Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Rocky Romero. And Willow Nightingale taking out Marina Shafir, having them kind of repel off the Death Riders who try to surround the ringside area. Orange Cassidy even nails Jon Moxley with the briefcase before being struck with the knee by Wheeler Yuta, which kind of helped put away Orange Cassidy here. And yeah, pretty solid match. But afterwards, a whole lot of stuff goes down. First Hangman Page comes out. He takes out some of the other Death Riders. Then Christian Cage shows up. He comes out with his contract. Then Jay White shows up and prevents Christian Cage from signing it. It nails another Blade Runner on Hangman Page. Then Mox and company flee to their car, which is waiting out back. And I can imagine it was probably Yuta who pulled the car forward, considering he wasn't there initially with the rest of the Death Riders as they were coming out. But then that car is hit, and it's Darby Allin, and yay! So Darby Allin attempts vehicular manslaughter. Hey Darby, and it was confirmed, or it had to be confirmed, I believe, by Brian Alvarez, that Darby Allin was the one driving the car, doing his own stunts, Tom Cruise style. Which, you could tell, because when Darby got out, he was bleeding from the forehead. But what a visual! Darby Allin hitting the car with a skateboard, or bleeding from his forehead, getting out of the car. He just crashed. It may not be as memorable as Hulk Hogan in the Yappa Pie, but it will definitely do. But also, the other reason we know it was Darby Allin driving the car is because it's Darby Allin. Like, if anything, like Darby Allin is, of course, a risk taker in Daredevil, but if anything, this is kind of tame compared to some of the other stunts we've seen from Darby Allin. So, I imagine this will segue into Darby versus Mox at World's End for the title. But we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But as for his pay-per-view, a pretty solid pay-per-view, I must say. Like I said, sets up very nicely to the next one. Had some good action, had some great matches. In terms of the strongest and weakest matches of the night, the strongest is I think I am gonna go with Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. I think they did really well. The main event was pretty cool as well, but Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay definitely did their thing. In terms of the weakest, I think I might have to go with Bobby versus Swerve, but still, weakest doesn't necessarily mean bad, just compared to everything else. But they still did really well in maybe the TBS title match. But nevertheless, still a really solid show from top to bottom, I must say. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see it as soon as it drops. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Full Gear, or my review of Full Gear, excuse me. Did you like Full Gear? Did you like my review of Full Gear? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.